Hi there. I'm Max, a golden retriever with a passion for adventure. I've set off with my beloved owner, Hannah, on an exciting journey around the world. The feeling of freedom. Everything seemed perfect. Until something unexpected and dangerous happened. Have you ever wondered what might be waiting for me out there? Let's find out together, because this story is just beginning. And honestly, I'm not sure I'll be okay. My owner's name is Hannah. A beautiful, confident girl who's always full of energy. She dreams of becoming a famous model and has worked tirelessly every single day to make that dream come true. But the road to chasing dreams isn't easy. Hannah was betrayed by someone she once trusted, a close colleague who tried to ruin her. And most recently, the person she loved, her boyfriend, broke her heart with a cruel betrayal. I can tell she's hurting. She doesn't say it out loud, but her eyes reveal everything. A quiet pain that no words can truly heal. Thankfully, her family stood by her side, offering comfort. And then, a close friend suggested something bold. A journey around the world to rediscover her smile. And so, Hannah decided to take that first step. Not to run away, but to start over. And me? Of course, I'm Max, her loyal companion, and the one walking beside her on this strange and unforgettable adventure. My owner made a long list of dream destinations, from dazzling cities to breathtaking, untouched natural wonders. She spent hours online, reading travel blogs, watching review videos, and bookmarking each place with eyes full of excitement, like a child waiting for a gift. Every now and then, when Hannah came across a place she really liked, she would turn the screen toward me and ask, "What do you think, Max?" I might not understand every word, but I always wagged my tail excitedly, as if to say, "Yes, that one sounds perfect." It became our little ritual, her choosing, me approving. And somehow, it made everything feel even more special. I lay beside her, quietly watching every move she made. And for the first time in weeks, I saw her truly smile. The sadness in her eyes had faded, replaced by a spark. The desire to live fully again. And just like that, our journey began. I don't know which beach I'll run across, which mountain I'll climb, or what strange scents I'll discover in distant markets. All I know is, as long as I'm with Hannah, I'm ready to face whatever comes our way, even the dangers we never saw coming. We were waiting at the bus stop. Hannah stood holding her travel notebook, flipping through each page with care. She had written down destinations, routes, and little notes in neat handwriting, tracing our journey before it even began. I sat quietly beside her, ears alert, tail resting on the ground. The sounds of the city moved around us, a passing car, a distant horn, but all I focused on was her and that notebook. Somewhere in those pages was our first stop, and I was ready. After nearly an hour of waiting, the bus finally arrived, and soon Hannah and I were on board. The engine hummed steadily as the vehicle moved forward, each turn of the wheels smooth and calm. I sat quietly next to Hannah, feeling the gentle rhythm of the ride beneath me. It was my first time on a bus, and everything outside the window fascinated me. Rows of houses, tall trees swaying in the breeze, and roads stretching far ahead. Hannah sat by the bus window, her notebook now resting on her lap, forgotten for the moment. She gazed outside in silence, eyes following the blur of the passing world. There was a stillness in her posture, not sadness exactly, but something quieter, thoughtful, reflective. I looked up at her, then rested my head gently against her leg. I had a feeling she was thinking about the past, the things that hurt, the people who let her down. Maybe even wondering if this journey would truly help her heal. I didn't understand it all, but I stayed close. Sometimes you don't need words. You just need someone by your side. As the bus rolled gently along the winding road, an elderly man seated across the aisle stood up and made his way toward us. He had kind eyes and a warm smile, the kind that made you feel safe right away. Without saying a word at first, he bent down and gently stroked my head. I leaned into his hand. His touch was soft and comforting, like someone who had known dogs his whole life. Then he looked to Hannah and said with a friendly voice, "Heading somewhere special, young lady?" Hannah smiled politely and replied, "Yes, we're going to the Black Forest." The man's eyes lit up. "Ah, the Schwarzwald. You've chosen well," he said, settling into the empty seat next to her. "That place is like a dream. Thick woods that whisper ancient stories, streams so clear you can see the stones at the bottom, and little villages that feel frozen in time." He spoke for a long while, painting vivid pictures with his words. The towering trees, the scent of pine and earth, the trails that seemed to lead to nowhere and everywhere at once. As he spoke, I could see Hannah listening closely, almost leaning into his stories. For a moment it was as if the weight of the past had lifted, carried away by the old man's gentle voice and the promise of the forest ahead. When the bus finally came to a stop at our destination, Hannah stood up and gave me a gentle pat, our signal to move. I jumped down from the seat and followed her off the bus, my paws landing softly on the ground. As we stepped outside, I paused for a moment, taking it all in. The air was crisp and cool, carrying the faint scent of pine and wildflowers. Towering mountains stood quietly in the distance, their peaks dusted with snow. All around us were tall pine trees swaying gently in the breeze, and scattered along the path were bursts of colorful flowers, red, yellow, violet, like someone had painted the earth with joy. It was peaceful here, no city sounds, no honking cars, just the soft rustle of leaves and the occasional birdsong echoing from the hills. I looked up at Hannah, then back at the landscape. If this was just the beginning of our journey, I couldn't wait to see what came next. We had arrived at a quiet valley, nestled beneath rolling hills and shrouded in a soft blanket of mist. Down below, we could see a small village, the homes of local people, their rooftops barely visible through the fog. The air was cool and still, and everything felt a little mysterious, like a secret waiting to be uncovered. Hannah and I exchanged a glance. Without a word, we began making our way down the winding path toward the village. We didn't know exactly what we'd find, but we were hoping to come across a small inn or guest house, somewhere warm and welcoming to rest for the night. At last, we spotted a small inn at the edge of the village, its wooden sign gently swaying in the breeze. The place looked old but cozy, with warm light glowing from the windows and smoke curling up from the chimney. Standing by the doorway was an older woman with kind eyes and a gentle presence. She seemed like someone who had welcomed many travelers before us. Hannah walked up to her with a polite smile, and I stayed close by her side. We were here to ask if there was still a room available, and quietly I hoped the answer would be yes. After we were given a room, Hannah and I settled in and soon made our way to the dining area. A small fire crackled in the hearth, casting a soft, flickering glow across the wooden walls. We sat near the fireplace, Hannah with a warm bowl of stew in her hands, and me with a plate of food kindly prepared by the innkeeper. The gentle warmth of the flames wrapped around us like a blanket. Outside, the mist still lingered over the valley, but in here, everything felt calm and safe. For the first time in a long while, it felt like we had found a little pocket of peace, just the two of us, sharing a quiet meal by the fire. After dinner, we stayed near the fireplace, resting and enjoying each other's company. Hannah sat back in her chair, her eyes softened by the warm glow of the flames. I curled up beside her, feeling the quiet rhythm of the evening settle in around us. The gentle crackle of the fire, the wooden walls creaking softly. It was peaceful, almost like the world outside didn't exist. Just the two of us, safe and calm after a long day of travel. But then, I paused. For a brief moment, I felt something, like a presence, just outside the door. My ears perked up. There was no sound, no movement I could see, but something about the stillness felt off. I stared at the door, alert, trying to catch any hint of what it might be. Probably just another traveler passing by, I told myself. Maybe someone like us, tired, curious, looking for warmth. But deep down, I wasn't so sure. Still, I stayed close to Hana, ears perked but body calm, trying not to worry her. The night carried on, quiet and still, but a part of me remained alert, just in case. Night fell, and Hana and I drifted off to sleep. The room was quiet, wrapped in the soft glow of the fading firelight. At some point during the night, I noticed Hana smiling in her sleep, as if she were dreaming something beautiful. Maybe it was a memory, or maybe it was a glimpse of the happiness waiting ahead. The air was still, the silence comforting. For the first time in a while, everything felt peaceful. Late at night, the silence was almost complete, until I heard it again. Footsteps. Soft but steady, then quicker. They echoed faintly through the wooden hallway, growing more distinct with every step. I lifted my head, ears twitching, my body on alert. These weren't relaxed footsteps of someone returning from the bathroom or a midnight stroll. No. They sounded too hurried, too purposeful. Someone was getting closer to our door, and I didn't like it. 3 knocks echoed through the wooden door, sharp, deliberate. I jumped to my feet and barked loudly, a warning to Hana. She stirred awake, startled but alert. At first it seemed like the person outside was just a traveler, maybe needing help. His voice was low, asking for something Hana didn't quite catch. She hesitated but eventually opened the door just a little. That's when I saw it. The change in his eyes. From pleading to cold. Dark. Before we could react, he pushed the door wide open and stepped inside. His movements were fast, too fast. He wasn't here for help. He lunged toward Hana, and instinct took over. I growled and leapt between them, ready to defend her with everything I had. Something was very, very wrong. He struck at Hana, but I reacted in an instant, fueled by instinct and fear. I lunged at him, pushing him back with all the strength I had. The force startled him, and he stumbled, then turned and bolted out of the room and into the night. Without a second thought, I chased after him. My paws hit the cold ground hard, my focus locked entirely on his fleeing figure disappearing into the thick mist of the forest. I could hear Hana calling after me, her voice filled with panic, begging me to stop and come back. But I didn't. I couldn't. All I knew was that someone had tried to hurt her, and I had to make sure he wouldn't do it again. When I finally made my way back to the inn, breathless and muddy from the chase, something felt wrong. The door to our room was wide open, the fire inside had burned low, and Hana was gone. I sniffed around frantically, circling the room, but her scent was faint, mixed with others. That's when I realized, while I was chasing the attacker into the woods, someone else must have come. An accomplice. They had taken her. My heart sank. I had left her, even if just for a moment. And now she was gone. I should have stayed. I should have protected her. The guilt weighed on me heavier than anything I'd ever felt before. I lowered my nose to the wooden floor, sniffing every inch with sharp focus. There, near the doorway, I caught a faint but distinct scent. It wasn't just Hana's. It was something else. Mud, damp soil, and the wild, bitter tang of crushed forest plants. I followed the trail slowly around the room. Faint footprints stained with dirt marked the floor. One of them smeared near Hana's bed. Whoever took her had come in a rush, and they hadn't been careful. The scent grew stronger near the window, as if someone had lingered there for a moment before vanishing into the night. My instincts flared. The trail was fresh, and I wasn't going to lose her again. Beneath the faint scent of earth and broken twigs, I finally caught it. Hana's scent. It was subtle, hidden under layers of forest musk, but I knew it anywhere. She had been here, and recently. I sniffed deeper, tracing the faint trail as it weaved its way toward the back of the inn and into the misty path that led downhill. The grass was bent, and there were small scrapes on the stones, signs of someone being dragged or stumbling. My heart pounded. Each step forward revealed a new clue. A thread from Hana's jacket caught on a branch, a footprint too small to belong to a man. I was getting closer. The trail led me deeper into the forest, and before long, I found myself standing before the mouth of a dark, damp cave. The air around it was heavy and cold, and a thick mist clung to the ground like a warning. Shadows twisted along the rocky edges, and every sound seemed to echo louder than it should have. But the scent, Hana's scent, was stronger here than anywhere else. It clung to the moss-covered stones and drifted from within the cave like a whisper calling me in. She had been here, maybe she still was. I took a cautious step forward, my paws landing silently on the slick ground. Water dripped somewhere in the darkness, and the only light came from the faint moon glow behind me. Every instinct told me to be careful, but every part of me screamed to hurry. Hana needed me, and no matter what was waiting inside, I was going in. As I crept deeper into the cave, the narrow tunnel opened into a series of small chambers, like hidden rooms carved into the mountain itself. Each one echoed with strange whispers and the distant sound of dripping water. My nose twitched. The scent was clearer now, undeniable. Hana had been here, and then I caught it. Her scent, strong and recent, coming from one particular chamber ahead. I padded toward it quietly, careful not to make a sound. As I peeked inside, my heart dropped. There she was. Hana was at the center of the room, surrounded by figures dressed in long black robes with hoods that hid their faces. They stood in a circle, chanting in low, rumbling tones. Some held candles, others raised their hands toward the ceiling of the cavern, as if calling on something beyond. She looked unconscious, lying still on a stone platform. The flickering light from the torches danced across her face. I froze. This wasn't just any ritual. Something dark was happening here, something dangerous. And I knew I had to act fast, or I might lose her forever. I charged into the room without thinking. I just knew I had to stop that ritual and save Hana. I growled and lunged at the nearest figure, sinking my teeth into his arm. He cried out, dropping a candle that scattered wax across the stone floor. But I wasn't fast enough. A heavy blow struck my back, then another. My world spun. I tried to get up, but my legs wouldn't move. Everything blurred, the sounds around me fading into a distant hum. Hana was still lying there, unmoving. One of the hooded figures stepped closer, something glinting in his hand, something I knew couldn't mean anything good. I whimpered, helpless. I couldn't move. I couldn't protect her. If there's any magic in this world, if anyone out there can hear the silent plea of a loyal dog, please save Hana. Please, just give me one more chance. I heard footsteps approaching from outside, heavy, fast, and many of them. At first I thought more of those cloaked figures were coming. But no, it wasn't them. Suddenly a loud voice shouted, "Police, drop your weapons!" Flashlights beamed through the darkness, and chaos erupted. The hooded figures panicked, scattering like frightened rats. Some tried to run, others tripped over the uneven stone floor. I saw one of them scream and bolt through a side tunnel. The ritual was broken. The police rushed in, overpowering the remaining cult members. In the midst of it all, I struggled to lift my head, my body still weak. But inside, I felt hope. They came just in time. Hana was still alive. And now maybe, just maybe, we were safe. Hana and I were brought back to the lodge under the care of the local authorities. The chaos of the cave now felt like a distant nightmare. A kind doctor was already waiting for us. She gently examined my injuries, cleaned the wounds, and wrapped me in warm blankets. Her hands were steady, and her voice calm, reassuring me without words that everything was going to be all right. Hana, though shaken, stayed by my side the whole time, holding my paw gently, her eyes filled with quiet gratitude and concern. The next morning, the kind landlady came to visit us. She sat beside Hana with a warm smile and gently began to recount the events of the night before. "Last night," she said, "I called your room just to check if you needed more firewood, but no one answered. I found it strange, especially since the lights were still on. Something didn't feel right." Her voice softened. tinged with concern. "So I came over to knock on your door, but the room was empty. That's when I called the police." Hannah and I exchanged glances, overwhelmed by gratitude. If it hadn't been for her intuition and quick thinking, we might never have been rescued in time. She had saved us, quietly, selflessly, just by caring. The landlady's expression grew more serious as she looked at us. After a moment of silence, she began to speak again, this time in a quieter, more solemn tone. "There's something else," she said. "A story, from a long, long time ago." She leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "Many years ago, this region was haunted by a dark cult. They had many followers bound together by strange rituals and secret oaths. At the heart of it all was a woman, their leader, a cruel and powerful priestess. She led them in terrible acts, hidden deep within the forest." The landlady paused, her gaze drifting to the window as if seeing shadows from the past. But time passed. The leader grew old. Before her death, she made a prophecy, a command, really. She told her disciples that on the night of the blood moon, once every 100 years, they must offer a young and beautiful woman as a sacrifice. In doing so, the priestess would rise again, reborn through the ritual. She looked back at us, her eyes filled with concern. "Last night, it was exactly 100 years. A chill ran down my spine. Everything made sense now. The eerie silence in the forest, the strange watchers, the dark cave, the robed figures. We had stumbled into something far older and darker than we ever imagined. We stayed at the lodge for a few more days, giving ourselves time to recover, to breathe, and to let the fears slowly fade into the background. The air felt lighter, the skies brighter, as if nature itself was helping us heal. Hannah and I spent our days walking along quiet forest paths, sipping tea on the porch, and watching the golden retriever, me, run joyfully through the fields. Though the memories of what happened still lingered, they no longer held the same weight. We were safe, and that was all that mattered. On the morning of our departure, the landlady came to see us off. Her eyes were warm, her arms full of gifts, jars of local honey, hand-woven scarves, and small wooden charms said to bring protection and peace. "I'm so glad you're both all right," she said, her voice filled with genuine care. "Take these with you, a little part of this place to remember the good, not just the bad." We were touched by her kindness. As we packed the gifts and waved goodbye, our hearts were full, not with fear, but with gratitude. The nightmare was over, and despite everything, we had found something beautiful in its aftermath, a deeper bond, and the reminder that even in darkness, kindness still finds a way to shine. Are you excited to hear about my next journey to a new and mysterious land? This adventure may be over, but many more await just beyond the horizon. Until we meet again, dear friends, stay curious, stay brave, and never stop believing in the magic of a loyal heart. See you soon on the next adventure.